Hi, my name is Diyora Shadijanova and I'm an editor at Galdem magazine, and I'm also a multimedia journalist. I write about digital culture, lifestyle, politics, and I've also recently started writing a lot more about the climate crisis. When I first learned about climate change in a geography class at the age of 14, I was horrified. I couldn't understand why none of the adults around me or the celebrities on TV and magazines seemed bothered that our planet was rapidly heating, the environment was being destroyed, and entire species were going extinct. I distinctly remember thinking about this on a stuffy bus taking me home, with my head bopping against the vibrating window as people on the other side of the glass carried on with their days nonchalantly. Though it does seem that the climate crisis is a more mainstream conversation today, my own feelings of urgency around it have only gotten sharper in the past 12 years, especially as scientists tell us that all the climate efforts pledged at COP26 still put us on track to 2.4 degrees warming, a complete disaster scenario that, frankly, is too horrifying to describe. This sense of urgency is also why I've pivoted a lot of my journalistic and creative work to covering issues related to the climate crisis, getting involved in local campaigns, and going to every climate protest I can make. I believe there's still a huge communication gap between experts and the general public. And as an individual, I want to try and fill this intermediary space. Since then, I spearheaded Galdem magazine's climate section called It's Happening Now, working with writers all over the world, from the global south or from marginalised communities in the UK, to push for solution-oriented climate journalism. In November 2021, I also travelled to Glasgow to report on COP26, meeting with organisations like the Gastivist Network and Migrants Organising for Rights and Empowerment to think about stories that aren't being told. In 2022, I'm looking to get more involved in direct action and organising. There's a great myth that people don't care about the climate crisis, but this isn't true. In the UK, 3/4 of all adults worry about climate change. So why is there no action? I think it's because many of us struggle to imagine how we can collectively deal with the climate crisis when most climate stories offer doom, no solutions, and no hope. Is it then surprising that people feel forced to bury their heads in the sand, expecting some genius in Silicon Valley to come and fix the problem? In my own experience, I felt like parts of the art sector approach the climate crisis in an often abstract and broad way, which is devoid of urgency or geographical focus. I want to see stories on environmental racism, especially in places like Palestine, where the Israeli government uses the climate crisis to further social segregation. I also would love to see what on earth is happening in large swathes of the world where environmental crises loom. What about the state of the Aral Sea in Central Asia, one of the biggest man-made disasters in the world? How are neighbouring communities coping? Where is all the art around the fact that climate activists, especially Indigenous activists, are being murdered at record levels all over the world? Perhaps I'm not looking hard enough, but this is what I'd like to see more of. Art is crucial in the climate movement because it allows us to not only connect emotionally and visually with one another, but it also urges us to think outside of the box. Creativity means pushing boundaries and rejecting binary narratives and looking for better and more hopeful solutions to the climate crisis. This is where the arts and culture sector can come in. There are already fantastic visual artists like Alison Janae Hamilton, Oliver Eliasson, and Tanzi. They centre the environment in their work, challenging our relationships with nature and our unsustainable consumption habits. What I would love to see more of, however, is storytelling of climate hope. This is, after all, an emergency, so we need stories of community, resilience, and empowerment urgently. I want artists to be able to offer solutions. How can we use our imagination to picture a brighter alternative future? In Experiments of Imagining Otherwise, Lola Olufemi writes, The future is not in front of us, it is everywhere simultaneously, multi-directional, variant, spontaneous. Now is the time.